Hi everyone, today we're going to be having a look at adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. So we're already familiar with adding and subtracting fractions with like denominators, but what does it look when the denominators aren't the same? First of all, there's two acronyms that we need to remember. LCM stands for least common multiple, and LCD stands for least common denominator. And the least common denominator is the least common multiple of the denominators in the problem. So first of all, adding fractions with unlike denominators. Well, if we remember how to add fractions with like denominators, then there's just one extra step that we have to take. Let's say we have 1/4 plus 1/3. First of all, we need to find the LCD, or the least common denominator, which is the least common multiple of 4 and 3, the two denominators in the problem. So if we list our multiples, the multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and so on. The multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on. And already I can see that the least common multiple of 4 and 3 is 12. So 12 is going to be my least common denominator. So what I need to do now that I've found my least common denominator is find equivalent fractions for the fractions in the problem using the least common denominator. So the fractions in the problem are 1/4 plus 1/3. And what I want to do is find an equivalent fraction for 1/4 that has a denominator of 12, because that is the least common denominator that we have found. So 1/4 with a denominator as an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 12, we have to look at what we do to the 4 to get to 12. So to get from 4 to 12, we have multiplied by 3. And we know that when we're finding equivalent fractions, we need to do the same to the numerator as we do to the denominator. So we've already multiplied the denominator by 3 to get to 12, which is our least common denominator. We now need to multiply the numerator by 3 to get our new numerator. So 1/4 is equivalent to 3/12. For 1/3, we've changed our denominator from 3 to 12, and in doing so, we've multiplied it by 4. So for it to be an equivalent fraction, we need to do the same to the numerator. So 1 multiplied by 4 is 4. So now we have a problem that has fractions with like denominators, and we already know how to do those. So 3/12 plus 4/12. When we're adding fractions with like denominators, we don't add the denominators together. The denominator just stays the same, but we do add the numerators. So 3 plus 4 is 7 on 12, 7/12. And as always, I ask myself, can I simplify? In this case, 7 and 12 don't have any common factors, so I can't simplify. Subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. 1/2 minus 1/3. Again, we need to find the least common denominator, which is the least common multiple of our denominators 2 and 3. So I list the multiples of 2 and 3. The multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. The multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, and so on. And I can already see that the least common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6. So our least common denominator will be 6. So 1/2 subtract 1/3 looks a bit like this. We need to find equivalent fractions for the original fractions in our problem that have a denominator of 6, which is our least common denominator. So finding an equivalent fraction for 1/2 with a denominator of 6 means that we have multiplied our denominator by 3 to get to 6. We need to do the same to the numerator. So 1 multiplied by 3 is 3. Over here with 1/3, finding an equivalent fraction for 1/3 that has a denominator of 6, which is our least common denominator, we've multiplied the 3 by 2 to get 6, and we need to do the same to the numerator. So 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. So now we have 3 6 subtract 2 6, and now we have a problem that asks us to subtract fractions with like denominators, which we know how to do. We subtract the numerators, but we don't subtract the denominators. It just stays the same. So 3 take 2 is 1, and 6 stays the same as our denominator. So 3 6 take away 2 6 equals 1 6. Again, can I simplify? If you can, go ahead, but in this case, we can't.